I was reading a book the other day.
Reading a book?
Yes, it's all about civilization or something. A nutty kind of a book. Do you know that the guy says that machinery is going to take the place of every profession?
What do you say?
No.
Tomorrow night?
No.
Next year?
No.
Good. Because by me it's this way. The longer they know, the harder they yes.
Well, I don't want to be honorable with you unless it's absolutely necessary.
We've got him. Senator Rob Kupec on the program with us today. Meteorologist for years. How long have you been a meteorologist?
Well, I mean, I graduated college in 92. So technically since then,
30.
practicing, I did 20 years. So.
All right. You did 20. Sounds like a prison sentence. I did
right,
20.
I did.
I did 20 years.
Sometimes it felt like it.
I don't know if you heard me talking about it. So we had friends over this weekend. I had a party, and then a couple of guys brought little 6-packs of beer, and they brought their own. Okay, fine. I said, why don't you put it on my poor man's fridge, which is my back deck? Just set it there, keep her cool. It was so blasted cold that one of the bottles literally popped its top when it froze, and the other one, a guy bring it in, it would pop the top, then it would just become instant ice inside. How flipping cold is that? Alcohol shouldn't freeze, and maybe there's really cheap beer.
I mean, obviously it depends on the water content of the beer. Okay. And, if you have I would think the lower the alcohol content, the faster it would freeze.
I don't think schools will catch on to this, but I think that's my new barometer. If Al's backyard puts a beer out there and it blows up, no school that day. It's too flipping cold. Now, that might teach kids the wrong lesson to use beer as a tool, but I throw it out there.
That's a tool for good, though. There.
Alcohol's bad in so many ways, but use it as good. Okay.
Yes.
Forget that. I would like very much to be wrong on this, but I'm going to bet you dollars for donuts I'm not. The paid family leave program starts in whatever it is, 2 weeks. The paper came out today and had a list of how it works, and it just keep coming up with more questions. Every time they try to explain it to me, I got, as an example, there's no cap on it, right? Everybody who gets okayed can go in. There's no, we're going to do the first $5 million and then we'll see how it works. There's no cap on this thing, right? Because the story says they believe 130,000 people will partake in Minnesota next year. We're going to blow by that, sir. That I don't know how many babies are born in any given year. We're going to blow by that in a heartbeat. My opinion. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, we have, we're not the first state to do this. So we have other states to look at, and hopefully, we've taken, I think, best practices from all of these other states. And it was estimated that in any, percentage in a year, it's not, it's single digit percentage of workers who will qualify to take this. So, yeah, I'm not sure what our total number of workforce is. 130,000. I mean, it's usually somewhere like 1 to 5% of people.
Okay. And then you must have an average number of dollars that would be, right? I mean, some make more than other people, but I mean, do we have any idea if we said $10 million next year went out for this, we'd be happy? Is there any benchmark on it? If 200 million went out, would we be shocked? You know what I'm saying? I've read everything on it. I don't see that we have that parameter itself. The money that goes out.
It is, it's an insurance program. So obviously, it's going to fluctuate just like your insurance would. Well, this year there's more claims, and and that's why we did put, as a legislature, we put a cap on how high it could go. And obviously, I think the idea is the first year, let's see how it works, and then if we need to make tweaks on it going forward, we can make tweaks on it going forward.
All right, because I don't expect you to be an expert on this thing, but here's other problems that I see coming up. As I understand it, businesses that want to opt out can hire an insurance company to give that the same program or better, which I presume means more time off. If it's a better program, but that, in which case then they don't have to pay into the state because they're paying the insurance. Does that include their workers don't?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay.
You're opting out. Yes.
Okay. Because good news.
Understanding. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So as I'm reading the paper today, I'm like, good news, bad news. Sounds great. Some people can get out. Their employers can give you even a better deal if they want. But doesn't that go This is going to sound right. Doesn't that go against everything we're supposed to do? This is everybody in to keep the costs as low as possible. Now the people with good jobs and good people that can pay for it, I'm going to throw a target. They're nice people. They're big enough. We're going to pay for this out of pocket here so you don't have to pay the percentage, Al. Leaves the rest of us, the small potato guys, having to pick up the bigger portion of the deal. You get my point? By opting people out,
Right.
It's like Obamacare. Everybody's in Obamacare until you weren't, and because you got a union or you're a federal government worker, and all of a sudden now individual guys are paying up the schnozzoli because not everybody's in. Sorry,
right? And I think that they, looking at other states, I think that what they did when they did an actuary study is that hopefully they've taken that into account in terms of how many people are going to do that, because obviously there's a certain percentage, I forget what the percentage is, of the workforce in Minnesota that already their employers meet this. And so I think we've factored that in. It'll be interesting to see, because in the marketplace, there weren't a lot of people offering any kind of programs that were close, but it's interesting to see if the private market is now going to come in again, some money to be made, may come in and try to offer things and beat the state's price on offering that program. In the end, workers still get the benefit, which is, what the goal of the program is.
Okay, but it's at 0.88% now, and it can go up to 1.1. And I'm telling you, little Al Travis and his little company will be getting to 1.1 because all the others are out. And that's what bothers. My point is, everybody's not in, so you pick winners and losers. Here's an example. It says seasonal workers can't do this, right? They can't, seasonal workers.
It depends on what there's
yes, exactly. We pick winners and losers.
So I was involved with this. So the seasonal worker thing, because up here in my district, we have sugar beet, people who work the sugar beet harvest. It's a 3-week job, and trying to exempt them out. There's no definition of what that worker is. There is a weirdly, you have to find the definition in the statute to take it out. So like seasonal workers who work at a resort, and there's a rule to figure out whether you're truly a seasonal worker. They are exempted from the program. So this was.
And again, I give you credit for trying, but then we pick who's in and who's out, because as I understand it, I saw it on the Minnesota Department website. Let's take teachers as an example. They are off for the summer months, but mom gets sick. You can apply for this program and get paid even though you weren't going to work anyway because your mom's sick, and they showed you make about $14,000 extra in the summer. You get my point? The rest was like, what?
Well, it's got to be I don't think it quite works that way, because you're taking a reduction in your pay. So if they were getting paid, through the
But teachers can either get paid 9 months. You can get paid your check for 9 months or the year you decide. Right. So you take 9 months.
You're not getting paid in the summer. You don't have anything. So I'm not sure if it quite works that way. So I will say I haven't posed that question. I will say, I was at, Deed is running the program, and they came up in my district, and they did a thing for businesses, and the room was packed. And every question they threw at Deed, the Deed guy had the answer to it. So, they're the experts on it. They've thought it through, and, the rulemaking on it is case.
But I would really love it if Deed then took out an ad in the Star Tribune and bullet pointed this. Because the other thing, as I understand, I'm just throwing out problems that I see that there's no limit to the number of people who can help my mom when she's sick. Al, his 6 brothers and sisters, we can all sign up and say, Mom's really sick. We're taking off, and there's no, Al was the first one in, you don't get it. All 6 could take off. Could be overkill. Sorry for the phrasing. Sorry, Mom. You see what I'm saying? Right. And then the other thing is it's kind of like the autism thing. We don't have anything saying what is the result. As I understand it with this, Al takes off to help his mother. There's nothing that says, what does that mean, Al? Are you spending 8 hours a day with your mother, making sure she's fine? Or did you call her in the morning, make sure she got up and took her pills? Both pay the same.
There is, so on that side, there is, if the employer feels that there's something not being done, there is a dispute mechanism that they can then flag that for that. So.
Okay, a dispute mechanism, but to get my point, how would I know? Al takes off, my employee takes off for the 20 weeks. I don't know what the world he's doing. I got to go drive by. The onus should be on what I'm going to do. If I'm going to take off, what am I going to do? Now, you liken it to unemployment insurance, which is what this is kind of supposed to be like, right? If you got to be unemployed. Okay, back in the day, and I took unemployment insurance for 6 months in 86. Got fired by a radio station, took me 6 months to find a job. Weekly, I had to send something to the state and go in and say, hey, here's the 5 people I applied with or whatever. You had to work to get unemployment. This doesn't seem to have that same nuance.
Yeah, there are checks and balances on it. I mean, even if let's say you broke your arm, right? And you're like, I broke my arm. You can still do your job, job with a broken arm. And so you're not going to qualify for paid family medical leave. So, I mean, there are checks and balances on it. And it's not like I'm this, I can take my 12 weeks and,
Well, no, it's more for somebody else.
If you're going to be done in 6 weeks, you get 6 weeks paid family medical leave.
No, and I understand the getting it because don't you have to have a doctor or a chiropractor? Somebody has to say you got hurt. You're going to write you a note. So I get that part. It's those that help you. The helper bee part that I think is where if I'm predicting where the crime's coming in. My mother breaks her arm. She needs help. Me and my 6 brothers and sisters all sign up. Well, mom doesn't actually go to work. There's
supposed to be a check on how many people are signing up to help that one person. So there is. Okay. I mean, because you would say like, here's the person that I'm going to help. Mm-hmm. And then if they get other people that are like, all
using the same name
to help. Yeah. And here's the other thing is like, we're Deed is doing this. And so Deed has a pretty good track record of, monitoring unemployment insurance. So we feel like we're putting somebody in charge that is not going to allow that to happen. Whereas these other cases of fraud, I don't, like the Department of Education overseeing,
feeding kids,
the meals thing. Yeah. They didn't really ever do that, but the money had to get funneled through them. And that's so hopefully, we've put, I feel a little better about some of the guardrails we've put in, and hopefully we've put the agency in charge. And this is working in a bunch of other states, and we're duplicating what they did.
Well, and that's great. I got to go to break. When we come back, I'm going to ask you this, and you can think about it. Then, is there a chance, because it starts January 1st, and I think you guys go in like February 15th or something, like, you guys get back to work. Is there a way of, how computerized is it? Will you get a thing that says, hey, Senator Kupec, we have this many people in a month, and we can kind of see how it's going so that if we need more guardrails, you guys can dive on it during this session? We'll talk about it on the other side. I've got him. Senator Rob Kupec on the Al Travis Show.
You need a friend at the Capitol who knows how to get things done.
And you're in luck, because that's exactly who we are, your friends at the Capitol, and we deliver results.
At Momentum Advocacy, we bring decades of experience in lobbying, public affairs, and crisis communications.
From local nonprofits to national corporations, we help you move policy, manage your media, and make your voice heard.
We're not just seasoned pros, we're essential partners.
Momentum Advocacy, your friends at the Capitol. Learn more at momentum-advocacy.com.
Think about it. Now that school's back in session, how are Minnesota students doing? Not very well. Minnesota ACT scores fell again last year and are the lowest they've been in 10 years. In fact, fewer than half of Minnesota students can either read or do math at grade level. Think about it. We used to brag about our schools. Now we're losing to states like Mississippi. Visit AmericanExperiment.org for more information. Think About It is brought to you by Center of the American Experiment, Minnesota's think tank.
You don't need to ask him his opinion more than once. Al Travis on The Al Travis Show.
Got to be honest, Senator Rob Kupec is actually making me feel a little bit better about all this. I'm glad we had the time to pick it apart. I do hope there are guardrails. The deed can do this. But I guess my point going, you get 6 to 7 weeks before you get in to have some numbers. I know people can apply if you had a baby in 2025 to take benefits in 2026. By the way, that's a little strange. I don't remember another program that retroactively worked, but neither here nor there. So they're going to take the time. So you're going to have some numbers. Are you going to be getting regular numbers on how it's working so that if we see a thing go sideways, we can fix it?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, just like Deed has unemployment numbers, however fast they get those out, I think we would. And I suspect with this program, there'll be a spike right at the beginning because of
course
what you just said. So I suspect the initial numbers will come in higher, and then we'll know that. Yeah.
Okay, because it's paid family. Again, I'm not trying to be negative, but it's paid family leave. But as far as I understand it, I have yet to see what does family leave mean. Who, is it your aunt, uncle, stepmom, and dad? I mean, where did we end? And I don't know that that's been given out, and it should if they haven't. I don't know if I've seen it.
It is, and that is, that is the one of the concerns I think that some of us do have is that ours is a little the definition of family is a little bit broad. It's done so, purposely because we just live in a time where what is a nuclear family doesn't, it's
understand
like
it would be hard.
Family. We have it's a crazy mashup of who's who and what's what and what relationships are. So, we have purposely made that definition a little bit broader. And, and if things, I think that's one area where we're like, okay, if this is, more than we think it is, that is maybe one area where we could tighten up that definition a little bit.
And again, then back to watching it, I hope, because what all gets done this session? What do you guys do this session? It's not bonding, is it?
It is a bonding year.
It is bonding. Okay.
It is bonding. Yes. We would love to get some bonding done. I mean, I don't, this every time you think, I'm just in my first go around at this, but every time I think I've got it figured out, like, oh no, this is not, and so now this will be, so, I've done one of these shorter non-budget sessions, but I've never done one where there's an election. And oh, by the way, people in my chamber are running for Congress, or people over in the House who are running for governor. How does that mix into the whole bag of what are we going to get done? My expectations are low, so I go in with low expectations.
That is so funny because
really
all of a sudden politics involved, right? It's like, hey, I also have to get vote. It's a whole lot more thinking. Senator, I thank you so much for taking the time to be here today and do an entire hour with me. I do feel better about what's going on with the paid family leave because you answered a lot of questions. I appreciate you being here, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always fun, Al. Thanks.
Senator Rob Kupec on the Al Travis Show.